the Russian Empire came back to life in 2023? Let's find out. So welcome colleagues, fellas, and mentally unstable people that are seeing this video. I'm Bausch, and today we are going to look at a scenario where the Russian Empire at its peak landmass comes back to life in 2023. So if you guys enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. That is always really important. And let's get going. So, to start here, of course we are using the Russian Empire at its territorial peaks, so when they had all of this, and Alaska, let's not forget about Alaska, and they were powerful. They had a big influence over Eastern Europe right here. They had a really big influence over this northern part of the Middle East, and they had quite a big influence, I would say, too, over the regions in China and Korea. They might be back, but they will just not stop doing nothing. No, they will attack someone, especially the Russian Confederation. But wait, how will the Russian Empire attack the Russian Confederation? Well, that, my friend, is actually quite simple. You see, while we make the Russian Empire came back, there are parts of Russia itself that have not been taken by the Russian Empire, especially Königsberg or Kaliningrad, and this little part of these islands. That at the time it was Japanese territory and this was Prussian territory. But I'm just not going to give it to them. No, I'll just let those territories be Russia. And so the Russian Empire will just attack the Russian Federation in hopes that it gets the total landmass of Russia plus this little bit of Ukraine that, as it was part of the Austrian Empire, didn't really join the Russian Empire. And so is it. I hope I don't need to tell that it will be quite a fast war. As you see, the Russian Empire in terms of military capability is just really big. They will just get over Ukraine, totally annex it. The only thing that will probably be a little bit difficult might be to pass by Königsberg defenses, but in like a bit days they would manage to do it. It would probably take maybe a month because these defenses are really big, but really great to make, really good made. They'll just eventually take Königsberg, Kaliningrad, whatever you want to call it. Right here, this island is pretty fucked up, as Russia holds definitely the advantage here while in this offensive, and they will eventually take it. And for the peace treaty, Russia will just completely annex all of the territories, so the Japanese island right here, totally annexed, Königsberg, Kaliningrad, whatever, totally annexed, and this little part of Ukraine also annexed. But now Russia will shift its focus to the Middle East, specifically to Afghanistan. If you remember well, the Soviet Union has tried many times to invade Afghanistan, Iran too, and with the Russian Empire creation, Iran and Afghanistan are not that closer to Russia as they once were. As you know, there is a big Russia with a border with these guys. So what will they do? So maybe especially Afghanistan, the Russians will attack Afghanistan, especially because they hate this little panhandle that they have. And, well, let's see if they actually manage to do something. So, right here in Afghanistan, Russian troops that, of course, have had to be mobilized, but they are using especially Kazakhstan troops and the other types of troops, will start invading this little panhandle of Afghanistan, as some other important, maybe northern parts. But eventually, what will they do is a bit similar strategy to the Soviet Union one, as we'll now try to focus its shift its focus. Why do I say focus its shift? Oh my god. And they are going to try to make invasions over the main cities of Afghanistan in hopes that they eventually manage to get to Kabul. This time they will be a bit smarter, because doing this wasn't really a way that they could use to win the war. So instead, what they are going to do is they are going to make multiple attacks into multiple Afghanistan cities. And right here, as they have all of this controlled, Kabul, I think Kabul is right here, something. So what will they do? They will start connecting their invasions in hopes that it actually gets them somewhere, which is not promised to actually do, as yeah, the soils. Afghanistan's main advantage here is basically their geography. But if Russia manages to pass by Afghanistan's soil, manages to actually have food supplies, manage to connect all of these lines, make the first part of Afghanistan actually surrender, plus this little part of Afghanistan. And now, as they have connected all of their military, start to push over into Kabul, I think that if they manage to make a double invasion over Kabul, troops have to separate, and they could establish a food supply line right here, so that the food will reach faster, as they will probably be able to conquer Kabul with much ease. But don't forget, these guys are Taliban, and Talibans are not really easy to deal with. So there will probably be just like blasts and revolts over all of Afghanistan because Russia is Orthodox and these guys are just Muslim. But eventually, Russia will just be able to completely take all of these surrounded zones, managing to again now have this big front line, make the same strategy all over and over again, targeting main cities, and the Taliban would just really not have another option besides surrendering. And in the peace treaty, you can see that Russia takes the most out of Afghanistan, while the rest is made a puppet state, as the Taliban are replaced by a pro-Russian government in the region, making Russia have total control of this region. But if you think that Russia is done over in the Middle East, you couldn't be wronger, as now Iran, it is their next focus. But of course, they wouldn't go alone. It would be too risky to go alone, especially because Iran is quite a strong country. They would probably be able to actually develop nuclear weapons, so they have to get someone that doesn't really like Iran. Well, their only option of a country that really doesn't like Iran and has good relations with Russia would be Saudi Arabia. But Saudi Arabia is actually more pro-West. So to get a country that is actually anti-Iran and could help them in this war would probably be Iraq. But they will just declare war on Iran. Iran will actually have a bit of support as Kuwait and some other Muslim countries as Turkey too will not join the war but start supporting. And in the Russian side, they will actually have some allies too, such as Syria and Iraq. But they will only offer like passage, which is a bit not that useful, as Turkey is not allowing that to happen. So as now we have Iran joining the war, things will be really difficult for Russia. Russia will actually, yes, be able to just attack and try to control this little region of Iran, but Iran would actually be able to show much resistance as they will start an attack over here in the Azerbaijan Peninsula, which would not be that much successful, as again, you have to deal with the whole Caucasus Mountains, but I guess you actually could be able to pass through Russian territory right here, as it is not the most protected, I think. I think the most protected regions are actually in the Eastern Europe. But I think that Iran could actually win a big part of territory. But Russia wouldn't be stupid. They would send reinforcements. They would strengthen their presence over in the Caspian Sea. Eventually, I really don't know where Iran's capital is, so let's just make it here, because why not? And they will, of course, use Afghanistan to actually move, eventually making the same strategy and trying to get over some major cities of Iran in hopes that their invasion is quite easy. They get the resources that are there, the food that is there, which helps a lot in terms of a military invasion. And they will start making blockades over right here in the Caspian Sea, strengthening their presence over there and trying to get a bit more of coastland. Eventually, they will try to connect all of these front lines, which some of them actually manage to happen, but the other part is actually conquered by Iran in a counter-offensive. But this only happens as Russia is now trying to get to Azerbaijan to actually try and stop any Iranian tries of taking more lands, especially with this little invasion that separates both Iran troops, with these troops actually managing to Russia managing to make them surrender, these actually staying at the territory for a bit more. Iran will now, of course, try to shift their focus over into the Russia's invasion, but things will only start to get worse as Russia will now be able to make Iraq join the war. Iran will be quick to make Kuwait join the war and try to have international support, as Saudi Arabia will try to maintain the relations. Syria will join the war as Iran is actually supporting these little revolutions in here, the Kurd revolutions. And yeah, Turkey will actually not join the war but start supporting Iran. As time goes, Russia actually manages to make an offensive to get major cities over in the Caspian Sea, but the Iran wouldn't just be able to keep up as now all of these is getting conquered. Kuwait is not totally conquered, Gulf War 2.0, but now Russia makes the same strategy again, focusing into main important points. Although Kuwait is starting to take their land back, and Turkey is helping the Syrians to get a bit of their land back, there is really not much that they can do, as now Russia has good military generals, and they will make everything that they can to attack Iran, especially when now they are heading to Kabul. Not Kabul, the Iran's capital, managing to eventually not take it, but surround the rest of Iran from the capital, and in a combined invasion, surround it again and make it collapse, eventually making the whole Iran collapse. And in a peace treaty, the north parts of Iran will be totally annexed by Russia, while the southern part is not made a puppet state but is made an official country, as Russia tries to be seen as pacifist, trying to improve relations with Iran in this case. Iraq will annex parts of Kuwait, as the rest will indeed be made an Iraqi puppet state, and Syria will annex most of the revolts that were happening in the civil war, ending the civil war, letting these two northern Syrian revolts be able to exist, as if they do not cause much trouble, more trouble. In case of Turkey, Russia makes an non-aggression pact with Turkey, promising to not attack them in the near future. So Turkey, for now, is chill with them. As now Russia looks into another place, that place being Mongolia. Mongolia actually works as a buffer state between China and Russia, but as tensions are actually getting a bit complicated between both of these states, Russia will invade Mongolia, as now the purpose of Mongolia and peace with China is really not working, so they will just invade Mongolia. Of course, this will really make China mad, as the Chinese have all the rights to be mad, but this is much desert, so the only purpose for them to actually invade Mongolia is for territorial gains. But they are smarter than that. They know that it will angry China like that. So they do not want to angry China. So what do? They say, China. Of course, this might not be the most realistic scenario in real life, but they say, hey China, let's divide Mongolia. And China doesn't really care. Although it is desert, they really do not have much to worry about, as a division is made, and now China also starts the division of Mongolia, and I really don't need to say. In days, Mongolia's capital, if it is here, it is captured, and now Mongolia will actually surrender officially. They surrender to Russia and not to China. But yeah, and in a peace treaty, Mongolia is divided between Russia and China, with Russia annexing most of the northern parts and China most of the southern parts. Now you can say that this is pretty border gore, but hey, I just used rivers, so that is not really my fault. But now there is one last final battle that Russia has to fight, and that is NATO. You see, although I can say that NATO doesn't exist for this scenario, NATO would probably act sooner. And I wouldn't just be like full out is pro making NATO not exist, because that is not realistic. And of course, I know that the videos are supposed to be entertainment and not realistic, but I'm myself prefer to try to make them the most realistic possible, and I will try to include NATO in this scenario. The only thing that I will try to do, honestly, not really having an explanation for that, is making NATO not act sooner. So in NATO, of course, will try to supply these countries that Russians invaded, but they will not be able to, as maybe Iran they could try to Turkey from Turkey, but yeah, this will just not go right, as now Russia has an old alliance to have to deal with. But if you think that Russia can deal with this, I'll tell you, they can't. They can't. What we have to do is a scenario where, although NATO does not intervene sooner, militarily at least, NATO has some members leaving it. So in blue, you'll have all the members of NATO. Okay, yeah, so the whole NATO is here. But who can we make get out? So we can make, to start off, Greece get out. Motive, justification, Turkey. Hungary, it is been quite polemic, but in the recent days, Hungary has been proving anti-NATO while being in NATO. So that is something, I guess. And I think Slovenia has a new leader, which is actually against Ukraine, so I don't think they would leave NATO, but they would maybe have a different position in NATO, and many other countries would actually have a different position in NATO. But with Greece and Hungary actually leaving, this could mean something. As, yeah, and I'll make Bosnia leave. No, Bosnia no. Montenegro leave, as the ideals are actually going a bit against Montenegro. If not, then pardon me for my mistake. But Russia will now invade NATO. Why? Because they want Poland and Lithuania. And yeah, I really have not more to say. Then let's go to the war. So now Russia will start its focus in Poland. Warsaw is right here, and they want Warsaw. So what will they do? Although, yes, they will make a bit of pushes into the south of Kaliningrad, Lithuania is totally taken over. I don't think I need to explain why. They will start to make their pushes over into major Polish cities. Yeah, it is the same strategy. So they go up to Danzig, they try to get some more cities such as Lodz, and eventually they'll actually try to cut the rest of Poland from this part of Poland, starting a bit of an invasion to Czechia, which is actually a bit important. Again, trying to attack major Polish cities, eventually making a double invasion, conquering Warsaw. Like that, Poland surrenders, but there is a bunch of NATO to conquer. So this part of Poland also surrenders, of course, and as Hungary has left, this part to defend will be much harder to defend. In Romania, this part of Romania will start being conquered, the region of Bessarabia, but Russia will not be able to go much further as they have protection. Eventually, Russia will actually manage to get some allies, because fighting against the whole NATO, it is a bit suicide, especially with the United States probably just going and joining the war sooner. So we have to make Russia somehow win. So we'll have, of course, Ireland joining the war, UK, quite simple, Serbia joining the war, and we'll have Iran, Syria, and Iraq all joining the war. China won't join the war because that's totally unrealistic. Maybe Lebanon could join the war, but these main Russian allies, maybe Iran wouldn't after an attack, but so now they have another front line to deal with, and Serbia starts attacking Kosovo. Albania will of course join this war in hopes that they can defend Kosovo. And now this turns into another Balkan war, as now Greece decides to join the war to try to conquer Kosovo. Montenegro just stays neutral, and Hungary will stay neutral for now. Right here in the north, Russia will start conquering a bit of these territories in Norway, as Norway will now start sending their troops, but Russia will just make stalemate here because it is worthless. And now they are going to start to conquer the eastern parts of Germany. Ireland, of course, will start conquering a bit of Northern Ireland, but not totally, as UK will now have to send more troops that they were sending. And Right here in Slovakia, whatever, they managed to regain their troops, conquer the capital, and eventually making the whole Slovakia surrender. Next focus, Czechia. Why? Of course, they will at frontline with Germany. So after trying to focus on getting some things out of Romania, conquering some bigger cities of Romania, again in hopes that they manage to get their major resources, their major factories and etc. They managed to make a pretty big front line right here, managing to get many territories, which will make Hungary join the war as Russia promises them the region of Transylvania. And so is it, as now Hungary comes right here, conquers the important parts of Transylvania, and manages to make an encirclement right here, conquering these important parts. Hungary will now participate in a slight conquer of Croatian territories, while Serbia is also focusing on that. But let's be true. Serbia wouldn't be able to hold this much, and their destiny is probably just defeat, as now Bosnian troops have tried to get there, Croat troops there too, Romanian troops would actually be able to get there, and it would not be easy. Germany would just probably launch an attack with Czechia right here, and now in Greece, Bulgaria and Turkey would just be able to get all of this, much probably, as now Turkey would also launch its invasion of Syria, conquering important cities, and eventually, as the same strategy of the Russian Empire, its military strategies. It is the normal. It is conquer important points to get military aid and etc. So it is actually pretty normal. As of course they do the same with Iraq, and over here they also managed to get some territories over of Russia. But yes, it is three front lines for them to deal with. Not really easy. Especially with now, as Bucharest is threatened and it is taken, the whole Romania will surrender, making now Bulgaria have a front line with them, which is really not cool. This part of Bulgaria just completely falls, and now they are trying to make a little blockade over in the Caspian Sea. Czechia will be, this part of Czechia will be completely annexed, and now they are starting to threaten Berlin. It is at this point that NATO understands that it is worthless to keep fighting Russia, and they both agree to actually meet up and make a peace treaty. And in a peace treaty, you can see that many things have changed, but just for the sake of you understanding what actually happened without me having to show more clips of the war itself, I'm just going to try to explain it to you all in a peace treaty without taking much video time. There was some parts of the war that I wasn't able to talk about or I had to cut. And that is especially about the little Alaskan war that of course was going to happen. It was quite inevitable to happen. And basically what happened is Canada together with the United States made several invasions, but this was just snow. So they really hadn't much cities and strategic points to invade, other than some oil production factories that they had. Other than that, they really had nothing, and they started sending troops to Europe. Fortunately, they did not reach as fast as they should. And the rest of this part of Alaska will go to the United States, except for this little panhandle right here that will remain Russian. But there are actually good news to Russia. It's right here in the Polish front. Russia will win everything from Poland, plus the little bits of Lithuania that still exist for some reason. Except for a little parts of Poland that will be given to Germany. So now, yeah, Germany is also getting some Weimar Republic vibes. Moving south, we'll have Czechia not being hurt at all, and some parts of Slovakia actually being conquered by the Russians. Right here in Romania, this part of Romania will be annexed by the Russians, while this part of Romania or Transylvania will be annexed by the Hungarians. Slovakia will be made a puppet state, and the south of Romania will also be made a puppet state. Right here, Bulgaria will annex these tiny parts of Serbian territory, while also annexing the region of Macedonia. So, but losing these parts of territory to the Romanian puppet state. Right here, I think that Serbia is the one that actually has the most changes. That it gets these territories from Romania, this from North Macedonia, and this from Kosovo. It does not lose these territories that were being conquered by Bosnia and Herzegovina, and it does not win any more territories in either Kosovo, Albania, or Bulgaria, North Macedonia. Albania will be in unification with Kosovo, and Greece will, of course, lose the Macedonia region, because if Bulgaria wins, Greece has to lose it. And I don't know why I didn't paint these islands. Right here, Bosnia will be divided between the Republic of Srpska and Bosnia and Herzegovina itself, with the Republic of Srpska leaving NATO. Bulgaria also leaves NATO, leaving Albania and North Macedonia, as now North Macedonia will also leave NATO. Up north right here, I won't make Slovakia a puppet state. Let's just make Slovakia maintaining NATO. Why not? Still, Hungary will actually annex some territories from both Slovenia, Croatia, and Croatia again, with Croatia annexing a bit of Serbia. Right here in the north, these parts of Norway are conquered by the Russians, while the rest is allowed to be kept as Norway. And finally, in the Middle East, you'll see that Turkey annexes tiny parts of Russia, plus parts of Iraq and Syria, maybe not conquering as much as they were wishing to conquer, with the Russians, of course, stopping this invasion that they were making. And so this is it, I think. All of oh no, yeah, and right here you'll have actually Ireland. Yeah, I was forgetting about Ireland. Sorry, pals. Ireland annexes Northern Ireland, making the United Ireland. And yeah, Scotland gets independent, still in NATO, so it will be still in NATO. And Ireland, just leaves the Russian alliance because there's no need. And now you'll have this big Russian alliance that is now established to now contrariate NATO and the NATO control of over Europe, in hopes that Russia manages to win in a possibly Cold War. That would be the most probable scenario to happen after this war. But yeah, guys, this was it. Hope you liked it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. And yeah, guys, see you on the next video.